Okay, so the suspension of habeas corpus by Spencer Vermeule and Max Hall.
So what is habeas corpus anyway? So habeas corpus is Latin for I have the body. It basically means that there has to be a reason for your arrest and that you also have to get a fair trial. Although, in a time of war or rebellion, the US government can suspend habeas corpus, meaning that they can just arrest whoever they want, whenever they want, and keep them in jail for an indefinite amount of time. So, which civil liberties were violated and how? So, we're going to be focusing on when Lincoln suspended habeas corpus during the Civil War. And so, when suspending habeas corpus, you really create two crucial problems. One, an innocent person can be arrested simply because they're in the wrong place at the wrong time. And two, people can be arrested simply because they spoke out against whoever's in power. So, Congressman Clement V. of Ohio, after he spoke out against Lincoln's administration, was arrested, but since habeas corpus was suspended at the time, he got no trial, and therefore he couldn't prove his innocence for just speaking out against Lincoln. And so the Sixth Amendment, which was violated, says that in all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and public trial. But when you're suspending habeas corpus, you don't even get a trial. And then it also indirectly violates the First Amendment by opening up the door for people to be arrested for simply speaking their mind. So what was prioritized? The society or the citizens? So when suspending habeas corpus, it's really a key example of when society is prioritized. Although there are some ways that Lincoln suspended it that were less infringing on the citizens. So when he first suspended it, he just suspended it along the railroad lines. And if you're still on the railroad line when a train's coming and they're telling you to get off, you're probably only there because of a malicious intent. And so he suspended it just along the railroad lines so that anyone who's still there when the train's coming would be arrested and wouldn't be able to destroy the train. But later he suspended it for the entire country, and that was really, really violating the rights of the citizens because you could be arrested at any time no matter where you were just because you were there.
Okay, so was Lincoln justified in suspending habeas corpus, and was he successful in doing so? So, I think yes, Lincoln was justified because he needed to suspend habeas corpus in order to win the war. And also, it wouldn't clog the court system. If he was taking in thousands, maybe even hundreds of thousands of Confederate soldiers every day, and they had to go through the court system, they all had to have a trial, the court systems could not be utilized for other things like just regular citizens breaking laws. And so suspending habeas corpus put them in jail for an indefinite amount of time so that the court systems would not become clogged. And so checks and balances. The executive branch cannot suspend habeas corpus. Habeas corpus and the suspension of habeas corpus is written in Article 1 of the Constitution, which is powers reserved for Congress. So Lincoln was not allowed to suspend habeas corpus, but he did it anyways because during that part of the Civil War, Congress was not in session. And so, as Max said, Lincoln needed to arrest potential threats without reason, and he was successful in suspending habeas corpus. So, what impact did the suspension of habeas corpus have on citizens? How did they react? So, one of the impacts at least, was that there were more false accusations and arrests. And this is a place like Andersonville Prison where a lot of Confederate soldiers were just thrown in there. And there were also some not soldiers who were just thrown in there because the government wanted to arrest them for one reason or another. And so the Confederates were opposed because they thought this was illegal because habeas corpus is in Article 1 of the Constitution. And the citizens had mixed reactions. Some thought that it was necessary to win the war. A lot of those people favored the Union, and some thought it was outrageous, and it endangered the rights of the Americans because, like Max said, it broke some of the Bill of Rights. Okay.
Here's a bibliography. Tommy?
Max, do you agree with Spencer that what they did was justified?
Yes.
The way you said the first two slides, it sounded like you were on the side of...
Yeah, so I mean, like, with a lot of things like this, it's a very gray area whether it's justified or not, and both of us jointly agreed that it's more on the justified, but it's not black and white. Jeff?
You guys said that the Confederates were like really mad about him suspending habeas corpus. Why would they care so much if they weren't even on the same side and they didn't abide by the same rules as the Union?
Because the Confederates, it would give an advantage to the Union. The Union would not have to have like a actual reason for arresting people that maybe were helping the Confederates, and also it wouldn't clog the court system.
Yeah.
Which would
The
help
Confederates wanted to do whatever they could do to win.
Didn't the Confederates do the same thing to people?
Well, yeah, but like, I mean,
They did it, but
yeah, they tried everything that they could do to win, and so whatever they could say to make it so that the Union had a disadvantage, they said, just because if it can possibly help them, they wanted to try it.
Can you guys go into a little more depth about like the Supreme Court's involvement here?
Yeah, so the Supreme Court, they passed, or not really passed, they agreed that what Lincoln did was justified. Afterwards, they said that because Congress was not in session, it was okay that he suspended habeas corpus. But they didn't really have...
You sure about that?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, they didn't really have a lot of involvement.
You didn't come across anything about, like, the Merriman trial of Justice Taney?
No.
Okay, so essentially what the Justice Taney, when delivered the opinion of the Supreme Court, said that they understood why the president wanted to suspend habeas corpus, right? He understood. But on the same token, it's not, you alluded to it, checks and balances, it's not within the jurisdiction of the executive office to actually suspend habeas corpus. It's the jurisdiction of which branch?
Congress.
Congress, meaning the legislative branch, right? So he was stepping out of line and stepping out of his powers to do that, even though it's in a time of war, even though it's in the time of insurrection and rebellion, as Abraham Lincoln really defended, which it was. But if you're still trying to defend the Constitution, live by the Constitution, because he was mad too that people left and seceded on their own will. So he said, I shouldn't allow these people to have these rights if they're the ones that are leaving this country. But it's almost like the hypocritical statement, right? So I would go back and revisit that because there was a pretty substantial Supreme Court case, which I'm surprised you guys didn't bring up. Okay? Anyways, any other questions? No? Okay. Jed, oh, you have one more question? No.